Q&S family, we got a story for y'all today. David on trial.
The wild one.
Celeste being 14, him being 21. They found her body in his Tesla.
The Tesla giving up all the positions. I actually didn't see the whole story. Remember when it came out, it happened, but I don't really know exactly what he did. It was crazy. I'm about to get caught up with y'all, man.
We finna catch him up on the crazy stuff that this young boy did to this beautiful woman.
Yeah, I'm behind on this one. So let's see what craziness, because they telling me this is a wild one.
He on trial right now, and they giving all the details.
It was just one girl. We're gonna get to it. Let's see, man.
Let's go.
We now have the transcripts. We have the actual typed back and forth questioning and answers from David's preliminary hearing. You know, reporting can only get you so far. So we're going to review what we've learned, including the alleged messages between David and Celeste Rivas Hernandez, the 14-year-old girl he's accused of murdering. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
He's 21.
He's 21?
Yes.
So,
California.
Law and Crime and Sidebar specifically have been all over the David case since the very beginning, when it was first announced that a decomposed, dismembered body was found in a Tesla at a Hollywood tow yard back in September of last year. And during David's, the singer-songwriter's preliminary hearing, we had excellent reporting on what was happening inside that courtroom. Details like what David looked like all this time in jail, how family members were reacting to the graphic evidentiary photos. This was all from NBC LA reporter Julia Dang, who did a fantastic job. Remember, there are no cameras that were allowed there. There was no audio equipment. There was no recording. We weren't able to get to every single thing about the witnesses that were talked about. And even though there was great reporting, sometimes to be able to see the transcripts themselves, to see the details, to see how the questions were asked. This is something you don't get every day. We have now gotten our hands on the full court transcripts from this preliminary hearing, and we are learning things that we didn't know before. We are getting details that we didn't have before. And I want to dig into those. I want to talk about some of those details because here's where it all stands, right? David Anthony Burke, David, 21-year-old musician, who prosecutors allege met teen Celeste Rivas Hernandez and began engaging in a sexual relationship with her. They claim this began when she was just 13 years old and he was 18. They claim that he brought her to this home in the Hollywood Hills after calling an Uber for her on April 23rd, 2025, and that he stabbed her to death after she allegedly threatened to expose him, presumably about their relationship.
She was supposed to be
pregnant. And he is accused of dismembering her. Her remains were found in an impound lot in a Tesla, allegedly registered to him back in September. And after a multi-day preliminary hearing, a judge has now ruled there is enough evidence for him to stand trial on charges of first-degree murder with special circumstances, continuous sexual abuse of a child under 14, and unlawful mutilation of human remains.
With the investigation.
Charges. Now, before I even go through the actual transcripts with you, obviously we couldn't do an episode on every single sentence and word. If you are interested, if you go to our Long Crime Plus app, under case files,
they got the whole transcript.
We have a whole David
they ain't no good.
That's what's up.
They put them out there.
All uploaded there for you to view yourself from every single day, alongside other major.
The parents need to be on trial too, though.
So again, that's the Long Crime Plus.
I'm just put that out there.
We'll talk about all that later. Things to know.
So
day one of
the
preliminary covered a lot of ground. Early police investigations in 2024 after Celeste was reported missing by her family. David's alleged purchases on Amazon under an apparent alias he liked to allegedly use. The discovery of a Tesla reportedly registered to him in Texas that had been impounded by a tow company before it started to apparently reek of decomposition. When it came to what police officers found inside that Tesla, the graphic photos were presented in court. To give you an idea, as we go through the transcript, here is testimony from Joshua Byers, an officer with LAPD's robbery homicide unit. Quote, question, and the photograph on the right? The tattoo on her right index finger, the sh with SHHH and dot was on the right hand index finger. Okay, based on the condition of the decedent, as she was removed from the front trunk of the Tesla, was there a face where you could make out any facial features?
Hit the body in a Tesla.
No. There was quite a bit of decomposition to where the skin slippage and most made it unrecognizable. The court asked, meaning the judge, I'm going to go ahead, stop you there, Miss Silverman. We're going to go ahead and take our morning recess.
Yeah, we need a break.
This is the kind of stuff that the court was hearing. And by the way, the tattoo is a way that they're indicating this was Celeste.
I remember
and linking it back
this.
to David because apparently they had similar tattoos. Later on, day one, prosecution called Benjamin Gregor to the stand to talk about David's music career, finances. Gregor testified that he was the former director of finance at Mogul Vision Partners. And at the time, David was really the only client that he was managing, maybe the biggest one. Now, DA Beth Silverman asked Gregor about David's earnings from things like albums and merchandising. Quote, question, how much money did the defendant generate between 2023 and 2025? Answer, I would say he's roughly earned close to $10 to $11.5 million in gross earnings. That's important because you can see we're talking about a huge amount of money here, possibly bolstering, supporting the prosecution's claim that David killed Celeste because he was worried about the impact Celeste could have on his reputation, his business, his career. Gregor also apparently testified about David's mother, Colleen, who was in charge of parts of his finances that involved paying bills. And we reported early on in the case that David had apparently transferred properties from his name to his mother's name.
After this happened.
Quote, question, and why did you tell her she should move the properties from under the defendant's name since they were his homes purchased with his money to her in her name? Answer, the understanding was the Hempstead house was for the family, so we moved title. Do you remember testifying that the reason that you told her to do that was to protect the estate from any civil suit so the victim's family wouldn't be able to obtain those or get access to that money? I do recall, yes. So argument there about whether this witness is credible. But one argument to that could be, why would he transfer the properties? Sense of guilt, right? Worried about a civil judgment? Are you worried because you allegedly committed this crime? And also it's an important question about what did the family know, right? We haven't heard them testify at all. Will they testify at a trial? We know there was reporting about them being subpoenaed to testify in front of grand juries. Now, during the defense's cross-examination,
family knew all about their relationship.
David's attorneys really drove home the point that then 18-year-old David, he was out on his own for the first time. He was naive to the ways of the world. This is by his attorney, Ms. Bednarski. You told us that Robert Morgenroth was engaged to be the person who was on the ground in LA, right? Correct. And he was really here to manage David's day-to-day, right? That's correct. And to your knowledge, David had no family members living in Los Angeles, right? Correct. And that was his first independent living experience to come to LA for his music career? Correct. Now, I suspect an argument will be that the defense will make is David had no idea about his finances. He had no idea about his wealth. He had no idea what he was making. So this idea of him killing Celeste for financial gain, it wouldn't make sense. That he didn't appreciate what he could lose or gain from Celeste's death. I also want to know if they're setting up the idea of all the alleged purchases that were made of things that you would use to dismember a body. Did he make those purchases or did someone make it on his behalf? I don't know if they're going to do that. Something I'm suspecting. Okay, day 2 of the prelim. And this is where we got more insight into just how much money David's music career was bringing in.
Honey, David. What was you thinking?
Yeah, he's done. He's cooked. It's canceled, and I don't see him making it out of this. It seems like they got all the evidence that they need, and I can't even go through the rest of the video. If y'all want to catch the rest of that video that Jesse did, I'll put the link down below. Y'all can click on his and see the full interview and get all the information you want to get from there, especially with the transcripts. That was crazy. I'm like, yo, they are not letting up. They got their foot on the gas and they not playing. Yo, but this is bugged, man. Like they said, parts and in the Tesla, like they didn't have everything, and I don't even want to get all into the details, but yo, be aware of what your kids is doing, especially your young girls, right?
Amen. I definitely agree with that one. I know all about the story, so I guess y'all. But at the end of the day, I feel like the parents, like I said, knew all about it, and they did not mind her running away to the millionaire. Okay.
I mean, maybe she was a little rebellious, but you know. I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Anywho, comment down below. Tell us what y'all think. Right. Because, like I said, some people can't control these little hot in the ASS kids.
But see, I never really was on no runaway type stuff. I don't know about none of that. So, hey, not my business.
All right, y'all. See y'all for next time. See y'all later. See y'all next time. Okay? Have a good day. Because your ass.